In this tutorial, we're going to take a photograph of an origami animal or ship or object and convert it into a vector icon. This is really common in logo design now, in text, all of the above. But we're going to work with animals because they're adorable. Okay, so I chose this site. You can use any image that you want, but this site has this awesome library, origami.me/beginner's guide. And I'm just going to grab this one here. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to right click it, and for the sake of this, just copy image. Okay, go into Adobe Illustrator. I've created an artboard that's about 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So you can go ahead and do the same. If you don't know the size of your artboard, this is your artboard tool. You can click on that guy. And if you go up to the top here, there's like a calculator looking thing. If I click on that, this will show you the dimensions as well as enable you to modify the dimensions if you want. Okay, I'm going to go edit paste. And there is my rabbit. Okay, I'm going to just scale it up a little bit. All right, there it is. Okay, I've got it locked in here. Sorry, I've got it on layer 1 and I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to create a new layer and name it lines. I'm going to go in and grab my pen tool. I'm going to turn off the fill. Okay, and I'm going to use a stroke color that's not in my image. So I'll use a blue and I'll make it a couple so that I can actually, like 2 points so that I can actually see it. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Now the key to this technique is closing every single shape. You're making a path that's closed. Okay, so I'm going to start with this most obvious shape. You can see that there's an asterisk next to my pen tool. That means it's ready to start a new path. Click once, click again, and then to close the shape, you can see that there's a circle there. Okay, now that is a closed shape. Now when I do the next shape, I want to again create a closed shape. So that means that you're going to have to go over a line for a second time. If I start my shape out here, you can see I have the asterisk, right? My pen tool is ready to create a new shape. But if I start it over top of an existing anchor, it's going to subtract that anchor if I click. So to get around that, I hold Shift. It will still show you that it's over top of that anchor, which is what you want, but I've got that asterisk. So I'm going to hold Shift, click once. Now I can let go because it's on its own path now. Okay, you don't have to keep holding Shift, but you want to make sure that you are locking into other anchors. The thing about origami is, in theory, if you're really good at it, it's perfect. Okay, keep doing that for your shape. So I'm going to come out here. I'm going to create this shape here. Now, this isn't going to fall on an anchor, but you want to make sure it's falling on the path. And close that. Same thing, hold Shift anytime you see that. I'm staying on the path. Okay, and you're not done until you close that shape. Okay, this one I'm going to kind of start on the path a little bit lower. Again, I'm going to have to close that shape, so I'm tracing the whole thing. Okay, down here. Grab that path, come down. Okay, now the ears, you can choose to either keep it angular. I'm going to keep it angular because it's stylized. So I'm going to click once because I'm choosing to stylize it. Find the path, stay on the path, and I'm going to simplify it a little bit. There we go. Same thing on the other side. I have to trace these whole shapes. Okay, this one I'm going to make sure. Now see how it's got a plus sign? It's going to want to add an anchor to this path. We don't want that. We want that asterisk. We want to start a new path. Now this is snapping. I don't want it to snap into there. You can either zoom in and then you have a little bit more control, but up in view you should see this snap to point. If you don't want anything to be snapping, you want to be a little bit freer with it. You can turn that off. Sometimes that will help. Okay, and I've got one more. Okay, so now my origami little bunny is made up of actual individual shapes that I could go in and give a fill to if I wanted to. Okay, but our next step is we're going to want to steal from the colors that are existing on the actual rabbit. So I'm going to unlock the image layer, and I'm just going to move it over, okay, because I want to be able to steal from the colors. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip here. This image is really big, and I don't want to have to be so far zoomed out, so I'm actually going to put a clipping mask on this rabbit, essentially cropping the image, okay? So going over to your shape tool and making sure I'm on that rabbit layer, I'm going to drag out a box around the rabbit, grab my main selection arrow, marquee select, so I've got all of it selected. If I were to expand this, you can see because these circles are selected, right? If I have nothing selected, those aren't showing that I have it selected. I'm going to select both the box and the bunny, object, clipping mask, make. This is essentially masking in Illustrator. So now you see that it's kind of created another sublayer. This is a clipping mask. Everything under this layer will be in that mask. Okay, so now I can move this guy over, just have it a little bit closer. Okay, so let's fill these with the pinks that are existing here. So I'm going to grab my arrow. I'm going to select that shape. I on the keyboard changes it to the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to sample from that bunny. V gets me back into my selection. Select that one. I selects it. V, I, V. Sometimes it's a little tricky to select these guys. I, V, I, V, I. Okay, keep going until you've got all of your areas colored in. Okay, so not too bad, but the power in this tutorial really comes in with gradients. So we're going to get into our gradients in video number 2. For now, file save as, and name or save it as an Illustrator file, match it to the tutorial name on the website.